somewhere in a research facility that does not officially exist on any public map. A soldier is lying inside a machine that is reading the electrical signals in his brain before he has even decided to move his arm. Not after before, the machine already knows what he is about to do a fraction of a second before he knows it himself. This is a real program that the United States military has spent hundreds of millions of dollars developing, and it is only one piece of a much larger question that defense researchers around the world have been quietly asking for over 2 decades. How much of a human being can you change, upgrade, and rebuild before that person stops being a soldier with enhancements and becomes something else entirely? This is the story of super soldiers. Not the comic book kind, the real ones. Built with gene editing, metabolic engineering, and brain-computer interfaces, and backed by research that is happening right now, funded by defense agencies who will tell you almost nothing about how far they have actually gone. Before we go further, picture this. It is a hypothetical scenario, not a documented event, but every piece of technology inside it is real. The year is 2040. A soldier wakes before dawn on a forward operating base. He has not eaten in 11 hours and will not eat for another 6. But his body is not asking for food because it switched to burning fat reserves hours ago without him noticing any drop in energy. He runs for 2 hours carrying full gear. His heart rate barely climbs. Later that day, a swarm of surveillance drones lifts off 100 meters away, and he steers all 12 of them at once. Not with a controller, not with his voice, but by thinking about where he wants them to go. Somewhere in a database, a small edited segment of his own DNA is the quiet reason his body burns fuel this efficiently in the first place. None of that scene has happened yet as far as any public record shows, but every single piece of it is built directly on programs that already exist today. Let us take them apart one at a time, starting with the body. In 2007, DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, launched a program called Peak Soldier Performance. The public goal was almost mundane on paper. Reduce how much oxygen a soldier's muscles need during heavy exertion so they could run farther, carry more weight, and recover faster without needing more food or rest. But the method behind it was anything but mundane. Researchers began studying something called metabolic flexibility, the ability of the human body to switch fuel sources between glucose and fat depending on what is available. Elite endurance athletes already do this naturally. Ultramarathon runners can shift almost entirely to fat burning during long events, sparing their limited glucose reserves for when they need a final burst of speed. The military wanted to engineer that ability into every soldier, not just the genetically gifted ones. One of the most striking real-world data points researchers pulled from was a rare genetic variant affecting a protein called Cas9, studied at the University of Massachusetts. In certain low-functioning versions of this gene, some people show unusually efficient fat metabolism and dramatically low cardiovascular risk, even under intense physical stress. The question was never whether this trait was biologically possible. Evolution had already proven it was. The question was whether it could be deliberately engineered into someone who was not born with it. That question leads directly into the most controversial tool in this entire story: gene editing. In 2012, a technology called CRISPR Cas9 was published by researchers Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier, work that would later win them the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2020. CRISPR allows scientists to cut DNA at an extremely precise location and either remove a gene, disable it, or in more advanced applications, insert a new sequence entirely. Before CRISPR, editing a specific human gene was slow, expensive, and often imprecise. After CRISPR, it became something a well-funded laboratory could realistically attempt within months instead of years. This changed the entire calculus for defense biotech. Publicly, DARPA has been careful to frame its genetic research around treatment and protection rather than enhancement. A program called Advanced Tools for Mammalian Genome Engineering focused on improving the precision of CRISPR itself, reducing what scientists call off-target effects, unintended edits that occur in the wrong part of the genome. A soldier with a stray edit in the wrong gene is not an asset. He is a liability and potentially a moral and legal disaster for the agency that created him. But precision tools built for medical safety are, by nature, dual use. The same refined CRISPR system that can correct a dangerous mutation to prevent disease can, in theory, also be used to introduce a beneficial mutation into someone who was not born with it. Chinese biophysicist He Jiankui demonstrated in 2018 that human germline editing, meaning edits that get passed down to future generations, was no longer theoretical. He edited the embryos of twin girls to disable a gene called CCR5, intending to make them resistant to HIV. The scientific community reacted with near-universal condemnation, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison by a Chinese court for illegal medical practice. That single event proved the technology worked well enough to attempt on a living human being, and it proved that almost no government wanted to be the one to admit they were doing it openly. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If a rogue scientist working with limited resources could edit a human embryo in 2018, what has a fully funded national defense research program been capable of since then? We genuinely do not know, and that is not dramatic flair, that is the literal state of publicly available information. Most advanced defense biotech research is classified specifically because admitting the capability exists would raise exactly the ethical firestorm that followed He Jiankui. Now, let us go to the part of this story that is the least speculative, because this next piece is extensively documented in peer-reviewed science, and DARPA has been remarkably public about it. The brain-computer interface. In 2015, DARPA launched one of its most visually documented achievements. A woman named Jian Schurman, paralyzed from the neck down, had 2 small electrode arrays surgically implanted directly into the motor cortex of her brain, the region responsible for planning movement. Through this interface, she learned to control a robotic arm using only her thoughts in a widely covered demonstration. She used that arm to feed herself a piece of chocolate, translating the simple intention to move toward her mouth into a signal a machine could read and execute. It is one of the clearest proofs that a direct link between human intention and machine action is not only possible but already functioning today. The military applications built on this foundation moved quickly. A 2018 DARPA program called Next Generation Non-Surgical Neurotechnology, referred to as N3, set out to achieve something even more ambitious than Schurman's implanted electrodes: a brain-computer interface that did not require surgery at all. The goal, according to DARPA's own program description, was a wearable system capable of reading neural signals with high enough resolution to control drones, weapon systems, or vehicles without a single incision, using advances in nanotechnology, optical sensing, and acoustic signal detection instead of implanted electrodes. Think about what that actually means. A soldier who can direct a swarm of drones or aim a targeting system at the literal speed of thought, faster than his hand could move a joystick, faster than his voice could issue a command, because the signal never has to leave his own skull before the machine begins acting on it. This is where the psychological question in this story stops being abstract and becomes deeply personal. Neuroscientist Raphael Yuste at Columbia University, one of the founding voices behind the International Neuro Rights Initiative, has argued publicly that brain-computer interfaces create an entirely new category of ethical risk that existing human rights frameworks were never built to address: not physical risk, identity risk. When a machine can read your neural signal before you consciously register the decision, and when that same machine can, in more advanced bidirectional systems, write signals back into your brain to influence mood, alertness, or fear response, the question of who is actually making the decision becomes genuinely unclear. Picture one more hypothetical. A soldier is in an active firefight. His helmet-mounted interface detects the neural signature of rising panic a full second before he consciously feels afraid, and it automatically releases a calibrated dose of a calming compound through a patch on his neck, the way an insulin pump already does automatically for a diabetic today. He finishes the engagement calm and effective, He does not remember choosing to feel calm. He does not know a machine made that choice for him first. Is that soldier still fully himself in that moment? Where exactly is the line between assisting a soldier's body and altering his identity? The Department of Defense has actually published guidelines on this through a body called the Defense Innovation Board, which in 2019 released formal recommendations on the ethical use of artificial intelligence, explicitly including autonomous systems that interact with human cognition. The report itself acknowledges that traditional rules of engagement, built around the assumption that a human is making every decision in real time, become harder to apply cleanly once part of that decision loop is happening inside a machine. This is not a future problem. This is a policy document that already exists, written because the technology already exists, addressing questions that soldiers and commanders may already be facing in classified environments we simply do not have access to. So, where does this actually leave us? A soldier with metabolically engineered endurance built on real genetic variants already studied in real human populations. A soldier whose genome could theoretically be edited using tools proven capable of altering human embryos as far back as 2018. A soldier whose intentions can already, right now, be read directly from his brain and converted into machine action, sometimes before he has finished forming the thought himself. None of these pieces individually make someone less than human, as Jan Schirmerman's own case beautifully demonstrates, but defense researchers are not building these systems one at a time in isolation. They are being developed to eventually converge endurance, genetic modification, and neural interface layered onto the same person. And nobody, not the scientists, not the ethicists, not the defense officials writing the guidelines, can tell you with certainty at what combined point a person stops being a human with remarkable enhancements and starts being something we do not yet have a word for. That is the actual open question sitting underneath every one of these programs. And it is being decided quietly in classified labs years before the public will ever be told the answer. If you want to see the other side of this exact same technology, the moment brain-computer interfaces stop being used to help a paralyzed woman feed herself chocolate and start being used to read a healthy person's thoughts without their consent, that story goes somewhere even more unsettling than this one. Subscribe so you do not miss it.